Hey everyone, this is Derek here, and today I want to take a look at some gameplay using 3D touch on the new version of PUBG Mobile from the third person. So basically, so you can see my phone and see my hands and see exactly how it works. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going into the settings. It took a couple seconds there. I'm going to go down to controls and show you that we're in control scheme 2, which is the only one that supports 3D touch, and that 3D touch is enabled, and my 3D touch sensitivity is around 150% or so. 200% means you have to push the hardest. 1% means that the softest tap on the screen will fire your weapon. So what we'll do now is we'll go into a game, and I just selected the highlights just so it's not super boring, and I'll show you exactly how 3D touch works. So you can see already there is no fire button or no punch button because I don't have a gun right now, but there's no fire button, and instead what I'm doing is I'm pushing harder when I actually want to punch. So it's an interesting concept. I'm showing you can tap anywhere on the right side of the screen. It doesn't have to be in a specific spot as long as it's on the right side of the screen and you tap harder than normal, and depending on your sensitivity, that's going to vary from person to person. I started out around 135. I'm preferring more 150 to 160 now. A lot of people just push it straight to 200 and go from there. So, you know, it's kind of whatever suits your preference. But you can see that there is no fire button, and instead, to punch, I'm just pushing down harder when I want to do that. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into the game. I'll do the initial looting, and I'll be back with you as soon as we get that done and there's some action. Alrighty, so here we go. We've got our first bot outside. At least I'm pretty sure it's a bot. Yep, it's a bot. Alright, so there he is. So let's see if we can engage him. I have to change the sensitivity. It's a little tough scrolling around. Yeah, you can see he is quite awful. And there you go. So like I said, no fire button. What I'm doing to fire is I'm actually just tapping on the screen. You can see I have an M416 in auto mode. So if I hold down on the screen, I'll start firing continuously, but you can see it's also possible using 3D touch to fire in short bursts by just pressing down forcefully on the screen for just a second or two. So here's another person, looks like another bot who, because this is the same house. No, this is a different house, but yep, there we go. So there's another bot. You can see the same thing. I held it down a little bit longer there. It is difficult to adjust for recoil. I found I haven't used 3D touch too much. Usually I use the L1, R1, the triggers. And I've noticed that with 3D touch, at least, it's difficult because you have to push down hard on the screen, and then you also have to kind of drag down if you want to counteract that recoil. And you'll see another example of that here. Here's a guy, I'm pretty sure it's a real person, and you can see I'm missing him high because the gun is firing, is moving up with every shot, obviously, with the recoil. And I got a lucky headshot there. That's why he went down so fast. But it's definitely something that if you're going to be using 3D touch with an automatic weapon, it's definitely something to keep in mind and to learn how to compensate for. So now I have a 4x scope. I noticed there's a guy further out here. It's another player who's running into the zone. He's trying to get into the zone. I switched over to single shot just because I don't want that recoil to affect my accuracy. And you can see I'm able to put a good number of shots consecutively on him using that 4x scope and single shot. So for single shot, of course, I'm actually pressing down harder on the screen every time I want to take a shot. So it's a very interesting, and like I said in the other video where I introduced 3D touch, it's a very innovative control scheme because you're actually using a button that doesn't exist. You know, it's a floating button, but it's only accessible through doing something pretty unique, which is pushing down on the screen harder. And that's because the iOS devices, the compatible ones, are able to sense pressure. So here's another guy, has no clue. That might have been a bot, not sure. But again, had no clue, and I was in single shot, so I was just firing. Now I'm going to switch to full auto because we're down to about, I think it's 8 people left at this point, and I have to run to the final circle. I didn't want to take a vehicle, a little too noisy, so I decided to just run for the circle, and I knew that if I had to engage anyone in close range that I would want it to be on auto. So here we go. We're a couple minutes further into the game. I see a guy over there by the wall. He sees me too. Probably should have been using peek, but I figured why not just fire at him this way? It works too. So took him out there. I was able to knock him out, but he actually had a teammate who revived him. So that's why it's 2v1 right now because I was playing duos alone just for fun. Here's that guy again. He didn't realize I was in the second story of the house. This time I'm like, you know what? Let me just kill the guy just so we don't have to worry about him again. So I know the other guy's somewhere across the road, but I haven't seen him yet. I think he was prone behind the wall maybe. So, and the zone though was closing in, so I knew that I'd have to move. So I moved up to here, and I really like I said, I really like the 3D touch in some regard because there's no button to accidentally hit. You're only hitting it when you're pushing down on the screen, which is pretty deliberate, especially if you increase the sensitivity of 3D touch. So here's the last guy hiding behind the wall. He's hiding behind his wall. He throws a smoke. I don't really know why. I'm running in with the zone, worried he's going to take me out, and I just got him there. So I don't really know what he was doing there. If he had a grenade or something, maybe he should have thrown it. I don't know. But anyways, there you go. So that's just a quick, some quick gameplay on 3D touch mode. So just wanted to bring that to you because I introduced it in a previous video, and a number of you asked how does it work in an actual game and can we see it from the third person perspective, because if you're using a built-in screen recorder, it's easy for me to narrate what I'm doing, but it's not as easy as actually seeing my hands move around and actually push down on the screen. Now, of course, there's no button, so it's a little more difficult to see when I'm actually pushing harder because it's a sensitivity, pressure sensitivity thing. But like I said, you can adjust those settings to your own, whatever you want to do, from the lightest tap, which is essentially what Control Scheme 2 without 3D touch is. It's a floating fire button that all you have to do is tap it and your gun goes off, which I don't like because it's too easy to misfire, to 200% where you actually have to push down pretty hard on your screen, and it's pretty difficult to do that accidentally. So yeah, hopefully this gameplay video with 3D touch helped you out. If you enjoyed it, definitely give it a thumbs up so others can find it, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already for tons more PUBG Mobile content. My name's Derek G, and I hope to see you on the battlefield soon.